And action.
Hi, I'm
Hi,
Eva.
meet you.
I told Kurt that you were seeking to figure out more about Qigong and like what is it about, how you can use it in daily life, and our mission is to do that. We try to find the links or the bridges, how to explain it, how to practice.
Mm,
Yeah, well, this year I started to study
mm,
Pilates. It's a totally new for me, so I didn't expect that it will be something like this. But I have many questions, and I also experience things, I mean feelings or things in my body. So
sure.
I don't know if it's Qigong that would give me the answer, but I have a feeling that you have some
Mm,
answers that I'm curious about, like our nervous system is a thing that
hmm
we can actually feel, but we
Yes,
never learn about this. I
yes.
mean, we never gain
Mm,
knowledge, particularly about this. I think that this is something that everybody could feel. And I would be curious, how would you describe that feeling? I'm just here trying to identify my own feelings. That's why
sure,
my
sure, sure.
question is
Okay.
so.
Um, want to validate what you're thinking. Uh, from well, if we just look at the nervous system in general, the communication in our bodies from the outside world into our bodies and our bodies back out is through the nervous system, right? If you think about all the information and stimulus in the world around us, it comes in through our nervous system. It's processed by our brain, and our response back to the world within our bodies and how we move in the world is occurring through our nervous system as well as our endocrine system. So in Qigong practice, what's going on with your nerves and your glands, it's like really important. From a Qigong point of view, when we look at the energy in the body, most people are familiar with the acupuncture meridian lines. Qi doesn't just move through the meridian lines. It moves very strongly to the nervous system, the fluids in the body, and the connective tissue, right? Ligaments, tendons, fascia, as well as the channels. So what's happening in your nervous system is super important. If oh, so if the nervous system is responsible for this communication, and your nervous system is tight, is tense, you can look at stress as another word of tension in the nervous system. It interferes with that smooth communication. It interferes with the energy flows through your nervous system. So the more calm and quiet your nervous system is, the more energy you're going to have moving through your nervous system. The more calm and quiet your nervous system is, the more um, energy flow, the more smoother things are going to happen, right?
And you can think more clearly.
And
You can
absolutely,
your
absolutely,
thought
yeah,
process changes from a stress mode to a relaxed, and you can see things from
right,
more of like
right,
a higher point of view.
true. You know, like when you're stressed, if you think about what it feels like in your body, things are not smooth, things are not even, and your thought process is not smooth or even. So with Qigong practice, the ability to get your nervous system to relax and release is super important. You know, that's the whole emphasis. You want to relax when you're doing Qigong. You want everything to be really smooth and even in your nervous system when you're practicing, because as the nervous system starts to release, you're going to get more energy flows moving through the nervous system, and the communication is going to be smoother and easier. Um, you know, so there's that part, but also it's not just chi that moves through the channels in the nervous system and all these different things. It's emotional energy, it's mental energy, it's psychic energy, it's karmic energy. So the restrictions and the things people feel inside of themselves, it can be on any one of those levels. It could be some emotional thing, a mental thing, some psychic tension, some karmic tension that's showing up as a holding or tension or resistance in the body. So the ability to work with these things, it's important.
Question.
Yes.
When you start noticing something coming up, any type of feeling or sensation, for example, something emotional comes up, how do you navigate after? So I'm curious about when you have the feeling, while you're practicing, do you like guide it somewhere? Do you just observe it? Do you do both, or do you do something completely different?
I would say it would depend on where you are in your practice, because ultimately, there's from Taoist meditation perspective, that's when you would apply the Taoist meditation techniques to deal and release those things.
Let's say there is someone who just barely started, that just seeking for something, and they just start practicing and start trying to relax.
Okay. So I want to make a distinction between when a person has like severe trauma, like how intense those emotions are. Because it's common with any kind of mind-body practice, whether it's yoga or Feldenkrais or Hanosomatics or anything like that, where in the course of the practice, people have emotional releases, like you see almost with massage. And that's one thing, but if a person has been severely traumatized, the intensity of the emotion, the sensations can be a lot, so like at that point, those people need to see a therapist. But for most people, the things that come up, they're normal. And I would say, just allow these things to surface and release. Yeah, because a lot of times things come up and we stuff it, we hold it in, we don't want to feel it. And part of the thing with the practice is you want to release these things, right? We can look at these things as energy, and the energy is stuck or not moving. So we're looking at releasing these things.
Sometimes when I work with people, it kind of naturally comes that if you cannot do anything with it, just localize where you feel it, and then just imagine in your mind's eye that you guide it down into the ground, and imagine that it turns into energy or something. So like basically grab it with your attention, and with intention, guide it out through your body, but like follow it going out. And it seems like helping people, but I'm still looking for ways to what to do when you're new to this. Giving the question. You need some coffee?
Well, so answering that question, I think it depends on the person and what's coming up and where they are. For most people, when these things come up, it's relatively easy to just be with the emotion and just let it pass. So like normally with massage, it's common people have emotional releases. It's just holding space for the person and just letting that energy move. As a massage therapist, you can feel when it builds, and then when it starts to release, and then when it's gone, how everything gets really calm, quiet, and smooth.
Yes.
So as a massage therapist, I'm looking for that place where that quietness, that smoothness, where things are just there's a sense of stillness that occurs. So I'm looking for that, and then I'll just continue on with whatever I'm doing, or just give the person some space that integrates, and then continue with the massage. But it's the same thing with the practice. You know, you're doing some movement practice, and these things come up. It's like giving yourself the space and time to just let it move and release. You know, earlier we talked about that practice of letting go, you know, letting the plates drop. Um, you're wanting that plate to drop. You're wanting that energy to dissipate. And some of it is just allowing it to be there, not trying to figure it out, not trying to push it away, not trying to stuff it or get rid of it, but just allowing it to move because it's just energy. Right? It's energy that needs to move. So you're just allowing it to move. I really had a breathing practice when that was the focus of my practice. You know, one day I was sitting and doing my practice, everything was going like really well. And all of a sudden I could feel like this tension happen in my chest, right? I could feel my lungs tighten up. And which was unusual because, you know, everything's moving smoothly, the breath is smooth. All of a sudden my breath started to constrict and I could feel the holding in my lungs. And just paying attention to that, I go, oh, wow, there's some grief there. And rather than trying to figure it out, trying to have a story with it, think about it, I just acknowledged that I feel this thing and I just allowed it to be there. And I just continued doing what I was doing. You know,
Yeah,
just
that is
having that,
awesome. That is awesome.
just having that awareness without doing anything. And I'd say it felt like 20, 30 seconds into it, just doing that, I could feel it start quivering. And then it went and it disappeared. I could just feel it like opening and smoothing out, and everything got really still and quiet. And I just continued on with the practice. So it was interesting how it just released without me doing anything, right? I wasn't trying to push it. I wasn't trying to, I wasn't wondering why I had this thing or what was going on or what created it or I want to get rid of it. I want to stuff it. It was just allowing it to be there with no expectation, just having this awareness, a recognition like, oh, that's what I feel this thing. And I just continued on
And
with
it's
my
probably
practice.
not even releasing, it's integrating.
Right. I would say it's an integration. You're allowing it to move, right? It needs
Mhm.
to complete. It got stuck, you know, like when muscles are tight, right? So, you know, it's just allowing it to be there and just.
Interesting that you said it because a very similar thing happened to me like about two weeks ago. I had a boyfriend, my first big love, and we were together 10 years, and he died. And
Oh.
I went to
Memorial thing.
memorial. Yeah, it was a huge meeting for many people, and so I didn't know anything about him in the last 10 years, and I think I didn't acknowledge that I was traumatized when I was at the party, like not before that, but when I was physically there, I was. And as we were not in contact and we didn't have friends in common anymore, and I came back home to my town, now I am aware that I was not able to speak about what happened. I had no friends in common who I would have a good conversation. The feeling that you just described as grief, it happened to me. It was very painful. It was frightening. It lasted for a long time. It never happened to me before. This exact thing in the chest, when it becomes very tight,
Mm-hmm.
and it's painful. I
Yeah.
don't know. For me, it was very painful. I didn't know that it was grief.
Right.
And I would be curious, how did you do it that you were not um, frightened by the pain? Because it was, to me, it was a very
Mm.
painful experience.
Sure. Sure.
And it was
Um,
frightening. I wouldn't be able to get calm, for example, in that moment, because it's the pain what actually is in my mind. So well, how did you do
so,
that?
s- um, yeah, thanks for that. For most people, the natural reaction is, I'm going to run away from it. I don't want to feel this. I'm going to push this thing away. I'm going to distract myself. I'm going to do something so I don't need to feel that. And I think it's important to first be gentle with yourself. And but the thing is, you need to feel that. You need to um, relax into it and just hold it with awareness. It's just a manifestation of energy. And if you can be gentle with yourself and just have this awareness, it'll start shifting. But it's hard because it's painful and people want to get away from it. I think that's just a simple answer to what you're asking. But it's a difficult thing, um, because we feel these things in the body and it's so noticeable.
Sometimes we don't even think that it's coming from an emotional
Exactly,
charge. So that's what
exactly.
people needs to learn about, that whatever comes up in the body, it's always linked with something, either a belief system or an emotional
Right,
thing. Something has happened and your
right,
body just gives you the sign, and the tension in the chest, they think that there is something wrong with their heart. There is nothing wrong with their heart. Their heart
right.
shows that there is pain, emotional pain. So they run to the
Hmm.
doctor and, as Kurt said, try to get rid of it instead
Hmm.
of integrate it. That there is a way to deal with it and
Hmm.
not just run away, like kids when you take away the toy and they go into a
Right.
tantrum. That's what we learn. We don't get educated on how to navigate our emotions, and then this is really important to learn to sit with it, to learn to be with it. I used to transform it, and I just realized that first you have to sit with it before you transform it, if you want to, or just integrate it as an
Hmm.
experience, and it adds to your personality. And it's another level that actually you can understand that you can grab that energy, that stored energy, and then you can transform it, and then you can use
Hmm.
it for your service and not draining you, but start charging you up or serving you. But that's a different class. Yeah, this is the
Yeah.
first part, to
Oh,
stay with it.
that's so true. I mean, with Taoist meditation, you start dealing with these things, and the first thing you have to do is you need to be able to sit with it, no matter how uncomfortable it is. But like you're saying, the difficult thing is most people it shows up in the body in different ways, and you think there's um, something wrong. I had many years ago, I had an ex-girlfriend, and like we do the standing thing in class, and she was doing that, and I was teaching at the college at that time, and my teacher was on island, and he came and sat in one of my classes at the college, and I made a comment to him that she told me a couple of days before that she had this thing that happened to her that happened at no other point in her life. It only happened when she was doing the standing, and it only happened at 12 minutes into the standing. It happened at no other time in her life. If she stood for 5, 10, 8 minutes, nothing happened. But the 12 minutes, she would have this whole anxiety thing come up, like a whole anxiety thing happening. And my teacher goes, he goes, "Well, I think you have tension on the psychic level." And he goes, "What? Let me check." So he does this thing, and he goes, "No, what you have going on is purely tension on the psychic level. And when you do standing, as you relax and you go inside, you're able to contact that thing. And all that's going on is purely tension on the psychic level that's manifesting in her as anxiety." And he turned around, he just kept walking down the hall. And I forgot how much time went by. It was like shortly after she tells me, "Remember that anxiety thing I had going on?" I go, "Yeah." She goes, "It gone, never came back."
Wow.
So for her,
Sorry, you meant
with
psychic as ability psychic, or is just like the thought level?
so from the perspective of the Taoists, we have different bodies, right? We have a physical body, we have an energetic body, we have an emotional body, there's a mental body, a psychic body, a karmic body. We have these like energy bodies. And like in our physical bodies, we can hold physical tension. That's one type of tension. We can have emotional tension. Like we know people that are angry. They're just angry people, right? They're holding on. There's that emotional tension. Or some people, they're very cerebral. They live in their heads, and you can have mental tension.
And what is the psychic body includes in your view?
Gosh, that's a whole
Haha.
topic of discussion. Let's just say it. So we know what emotions are like, right? So there's emotional energy that has nothing to do with the different emotions. There's a quality, whether you're happy, sad, angry, depressed, um, upset. There's a certain quality to emotional energy, regardless of what the emotions are. There's a quality of emotional energy, and then there's mental energy, which is different than emotional energy. It has a certain quality. So psychic energy is that way, has a certain quality. And for her, it was tension on that level. I also remember when I was doing my Lomi Lomi training. Lomi Lomi is like a Hawaiian massage modality. And Maka'ala was talking about Auntie Margaret, and Auntie Margaret was working on this woman in her 70s or something, and she held this woman's little toe on the left foot, going, "When you were 10 years old, you got into a fight with your best friend. Don't you think it's time for you to let go of that?"
Wow, how do
So
they
so so
how do
so
they
Auntie
do that?
Margaret could feel that this person was holding on to the energy of that event from the age of 10, right? So these energies, they become stuck in the body because it hasn't been processed. We're not releasing these things. So these practices are about releasing the tensions in the body, and it's also what level are these tensions held at, right? So earlier you talked about the nervous system. So on what level is there tension in your nervous system? Is it just purely a physical tension in the nervous system? Is it emotional? Is it mental? Is it psychic? Is it karmic? Just a rhetorical question. Because we all have tensions that we're carrying.
Do you
And
have to give the question, or you just
no. What
it
happens?
self-describes, or just goes?
So so let's say you're doing a Qigong practice, right? You're doing the form, and the whole thing is to be relaxed with the form, right? So we're
Yeah.
continuously practicing letting go of tension. Like there's this letting go, letting go, letting go. So you're doing the movement, and there's a releasing that's happening. Things naturally arise, and then you just let it go, right? As we're doing the form, you know, we're moving energy through the body. The energy moving through the body is going to push whatever's stuck in there. It'll just naturally start moving these things out. And a lot of times things open and release without even us being aware of it. You know, sometimes they're big enough where they enter our awareness. Thinking about the practice, right? So we're, from just pure Chinese medical point of view, we're looking at clearing stagnant qi from the body. We're looking at moving energy through the channels. But it's also a question of what's the nature of the energy moving through the channels. And at what level is there some kind of blockage or holding? So this letting go, relax, 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 let go as you're doing movement, you're just allowing things to clear and move. You talked about application in daily life. It just makes things a lot smoother moving through your world.
And it's very, very much needed.
Right. So coming back to our earlier conversations about this need to let go.
I keep having this feeling with the let go. It's such a different quality as the integration.
Absolutely.
To me, it's so important to integrate and
right.
That's how you expand and not contract. Because when you let go, when somebody says release anger, I see an angry pit bull on a leash that you just like just let go. That will attack. When you release anger, it means you're releasing your anger. It's
oh,
but
right.
You know what I mean? Like when people were talking about it, it just kept bugging me in the way that what is wrong with my is my definition wrong with it, or because I kept seeing this different energy moves.
That's a really good point. It doesn't mean I'm angry. I'm going to take my anger out on somebody or something. Letting go doesn't mean I'm going to take out my anger on something. There's a
letting
charge
merge together. Kind of. It's just like I want to clarify for my own definition, because when I hear the word let it go, I don't feel that something is let go. It's like it feels like it's merging with my energy in a way that it's not separated as a negative or positive. It's merging with my energy, and it learns to move with my energy. It's just I'm not acting on it because it's merged.
That's true. You know, when I say we're letting go, it's like the energy is stuck and we're allowing it to move so it's free.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Because it needs to integrate, right? I can be angry at someone and I can take out my anger on someone, but it doesn't mean I release that anger. It's still there.
Yeah. Exactly.
So letting go is to release that part of it, not the acting out.
It's like kind of merging, so it's not separated as a as anger or as sadness, or so the release and let go means that let go back into the flow, expand.
Right, and like you said, integration. So it needs to integrate with the rest of who you are.
So the let go, just imagine that you're like you're at a cliff hanging on a branch, and when you let go you fall, or when you let go you start flowing like levitator, you know, because you become part of everything. So that the difference on the definition of letting go and release, I think for not just me, but for a lot of people, it has the wrong definition linked with the.
That was a really good point. What we're looking at releasing is the charge and what's behind it. So kind of going on a little tangent here. So one of the three internal martial arts, there's a thing called Xingyi, and it's the most yang of the three internal arts. Like Tai Chi is the most yin, Xingyi is the most yang. And there's when you learn Xingyi, there's like the 5 elements. So there's movement patterns associated with the 5 elements, and the liver form. Most people in the West, when you look at Chinese medicine, you talk about liver, you think about anger and frustration. So from the Xingyi point of view, the movement pattern that corresponds with the liver. So it's a martial art, right? So you're going to do something to someone. And the thing with the liver is that anger, to move with the anger of the liver. A lot of martial arts, when we watch the movies, people get worked up, right? They're firing their glandular system, the adrenaline, like they fire things up and they grimace and they make noise. There's always emotional content to what they're doing. With the high level internal arts, you don't have that. It's just a pure expression of energy. So the thing with the liver is you want to train so you're expressing the energy of the liver in a very pure way instead of anger. The functions of the energy of the liver is this ability to do something. It's the ability to keep going, putting one foot in front of the other, no matter what happens, to achieve your goal, right? It is this power and strength to achieve things. So from the point of view of this martial art, you want to have that sense with combat where I'm going to have this pure expression of this liver energy, but there's no anger. There's no charge. You go in, do what you have to do, and it's clean. There's no charge. There's no residue, right? Because like when you're angry, it creates a toxicity in the body,
Yeah, it's a disturbing
right?
resonation. It's like there's
Right. Well, there's a toxicity energetically, but also neurochemically inside of our body, right? The chemicals produced inside of our body when you're angry all the time is not good for us. It's toxic. So this ability to express the energy of the liver in a very pure way, so it's not toxic. So going back to your earlier question about the letting go, we're looking at the letting go to the point where the energy expressed is very clean, it's pure, there's no charge, there's no toxicity, right? There's this integration with the rest of our system.
Ava, does it answer your question?
Not
Those
just
are
that one. Yes.
It's the answer that raises 100
My
more
2 week
questions.
questions.
yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. We kind of went in a roundabout way there.
I absolutely agree. I also experience it's true what you're saying, that it goes away, or feelings go away. It just seems hard to me to do this in practice when you're, for example, under constant pain or these kind of extremes. It must work. I just imagine it's hard.
But when you know about it, that it can happen that way, then you can bring in discipline because now you know about it. So if anything like that comes up,
Yeah, it's
then
not
for
new.
example, you will remember to just sit with it and just sit and don't freak out, don't go anywhere, just sit and it will go away.
It's a practice because it's a different mindset, right? Because the common response is to run away from it, to push it away, to not deal with it, to distract yourself. It's like, I don't want to think about that. I'm going to go shopping, or I'm going to watch television, or people distract themselves because it's too painful. It does require the courage to kind of look at it and sit with it. It's definitely not easy. I mean, some things that come up because, when you're doing the practice, there's always things just bubbling up from the unconscious mind that you're not even aware of, that just come and it just releases, and yet you're not even aware of it.
and it brings in different things when you don't face what first came up, then it, because it's suppressed, it's going to cause anxiety, then it's going to cause emotions to shut down, and then one by one you're shutting down all the energy levels, and then you end up eating yourself up, meaning cancer or
Yeah.
any of that kind of.
Well, and it's kind of like a spider web because there's all these different things that could be associated with that. You know, it's like something silly, like you know, you're driving down the road, you get into like a little car accident, and what's associated with that, right? You're driving down the road, you hear certain music playing when the accident happened, or you hear a dog barking, or you turned and you saw something like a yellow house or something. So whenever you see something yellow, you hear this music, you hear a barking dog. There's associations that kind of tie into all these things, you know, so they're connected, you know,
Integrate.
so they can integrate. Right. So it's not just the form. It's not just practicing, it's how you're practicing. You know, what are you doing internally as you do the practice?
You cannot even see much happening from the outside, but a lot of things are
Exactly.
happening in the inside.
Well, exactly. You know, a lot of people think the goal is I need to learn that form because that form is for that. But yeah, that's true. But it's also how are you doing the form to bring what the form's supposed to be doing into fruition? It's not just doing the form. I mean, it's, you know, like something like Tai Chi. Um, you know, it's common where people start doing Tai Chi, they learn the whole form, and they can go through the whole form and they're not even present. They're like off somewhere. I remember my teacher talking about the need how usually when people doing Tai Chi, they go, oh, Tai Chi is meditation in motion. So I want to do motion and have exercise and do meditation at the same time. And he goes, no, for most people, you're just relaxed. And what's happening is you start the form and you're so used to doing the form because you've done it for a while, you start daydreaming. You're not there. You're seeing like you're watching a movie in your head. You're no longer present. So that this thing is playing in your mind, and like all those things need to go away. You know, like more neurologically, right? We live in a very visual culture. So we're constantly bombarded with all this visual stimulus, right? Our cell phones, the media, the advertising, the things we see on the television. And these things are stored in our neurological system. So when you're doing Tai Chi or you're doing some Qigong forms, people start seeing images in their head. You know, these things need to go away. The need to release the subliminal visual images that's running through our nervous system needs to go away. So from the Tai Chi and the martial arts point of view, the moment you start seeing these images in your head, you're no longer present. That's when the sword's going to take your head off. You're back in a place when that thing happens. You're no
Or in the
longer
future,
present.
how you want to fix
Right.
it, but you're not there.
You're no longer present. And because you're no longer present, you're not really dealing with it. You know, it can go a lot deeper.
Showed us class first time that even when you just move your head and just pay attention how your spine moves with your head and how you're massaging your heart. And
Uh-huh.
before that, I didn't even think or feel about it, but the more I just
Uh-huh.
observed it. So like
Uh-huh.
we need to learn to observe what's happening, not just
Right.
respond,
Right.
because we directly respond to things. And then I just started to do that, move with my spine and with the breath, moving my rib cage, and then the muscles started to loosen up in my back. And then I noticed that take a deeper breath and I feel more and more comfortable, and my back started to move. I was so stiff on my back, But if I didn't observe it and if I didn't
Right.
uh,
Right.
stay with it, I had to
Right.
stop and be in
Right.
the moment.
And
And
it
it's
goes
very
back to your
grounding. Yeah.
going back to your original question, is through the nervous system, because that's how we're becoming aware of these processes where we're utilizing our nervous system, and how smooth running is our nervous system.
And also the fact that you have an access to your own nervous system and you can do things about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just the
Mm-hmm.
doctors. You don't have to go to anybody. You have to go to you, to
Yeah.
yourself.
In the old days, when people talked about yoga and the yogis and the abilities, the control over the physiology, right? You remember all those stories? How come we don't see people doing that today, right? There's always yoga studios here. How come people can't do that in the yoga studio? It's exercise and stretching, but it's missing that other component,
Yeah.
that awareness and the ability to go inside the body and really feel what's going on in the body, and how these movement things we're doing, how it's impacting the body, right? Because we can exercise we can exercise so it benefits us, or we can exercise where it tears us down.
And also someone in the class, the Qigong class, your Qigong class, told me that she's practicing Pilates too.
Uh-huh.
But there it's more like about the muscles and
Sure.
how you're getting aware of your muscles. Said it goes deeper for her, and that's how the picture is complete for her, because she's not just learning about her muscles, but also the organs. Because if the organs doesn't work right, then it doesn't matter how much exercise you do.
It's a little bit different from the Pilates, what I study now.
And with the Qigong, you go from the bones to all aspects of the body and the soul, basically, like and the organs. But Kurt can explain it way better than I do.
No, I get it, and to me, for example, there are a few things that I only started last year, the end of last year. There are a few things that I still don't clearly understand. I experience a kind of difference between the stretchings, and I never know exactly which kind of stretching to use. I heard in one of your videos,
lengthening.
Yeah, lengthening maybe. And I think that's the thing that I don't find in Pilates.
Can you tell what is the difference between lengthening and stretching?
With lengthening, you're getting more length in the tissues from releasing the nervous system. Like you can stretch tissues, but it's the nervous system that controls everything, right? So I can stretch something, but it won't necessarily mean it'll stay in that length in place. You're releasing the nervous system, the tissues release and you get more space. It's like like my hand, right? I can like try and stretch everything open in my hand, and I'm only going to get so much length. But if I release my nervous system,
yeah,
I get more. I can get more and more space.
Just letting
and
it.
then there's no tension. A lot of times when people stretch, there's tension. Well, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's tension, but most people are doing it with tension.
Yes, and I think that's then a completely different thing. And Pilates, this is something that I didn't get an answer from Pilates.
I think one is an allowing thing, and the other one is more like a forcing thing. Because when I think of it lengthening, it lengthens like stretching to all direction, and stretching is just from A to B.
It's very linear. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's the difference. Because I was thinking about it, it gave me such a different feeling, lengthening and stretching.
But stretching doesn't necessarily mean forcing. It can be a very, very smooth.
Still linear.
I've done Pilates. I like it. So my background and training and doing these things for so long, I can apply those principles in Pilates. So like in something like Qigong and Tai Chi, the movement of the arms and legs are designed to massage the internal organs. I keep telling people that, we're developing these skill sets. It's like you're putting tools in the toolbox. So, God forbid, if there's ever a time when you need to use these tools, you already have them in your toolbox. Let's say you come down with some kind of major disease, or you have to have surgery, and you're confined to the hospital bed, or you need to bounce back from this thing. It's nice having the tools so you can do that, versus I don't have the tools now. I'm trying to find the tools I need to come back from this thing. If you already have it in the toolbox, then it's there. You can just pull it out and apply it.
When you do massage, you can sense more things.
Oh, big time.
When you work one-on-one.
Oh, big time. Like
Mostly because you know
well,
yourself, so you can totally feel the other person's energetic makeup or stuff because you know yours. So it's not confusing you at all. So you can guide the whole thing.
I totally agree. If you can feel these things inside of yourself, you should be able to feel them in your clients. Flow is open and smooth. What does that feel like in your body? Can you feel it in your client's body? What does stagnation in your body feel like? Can you feel it in their body?
Yeah, exactly. And I do.
Like you're holding the head. Are you holding not just the head, but the whole spine? And the way you mobilize the head, how is that impacting what's going on in the body? Not just the muscles in the neck and the head, not just scalenes, not just upper trap, not just levator, but how is that affecting the different tissues inside the body?
Started to apply the rib
Mm,
cage moves that the
mm,
client takes a deep breath and I'm holding the rib cage,
mm.
and basically with their breath they are massaging the spine from the inside, or the rib cage, that they are
Right,
accessing
right.
those muscles. And then
Mm-hmm,
so like basically doing qigong without doing the forms,
right.
but still working together. And
Mm-hmm.
I noticed significant changes from just
Oh
massaging the
yeah.
back from the outside, or
Yeah.
working together, massaging the spine
Right,
and the back and everything from the inside out all at
right,
once, not just
right,
one muscle, but the whole
right.
thing. And then they can connect with it
Absolutely.
more with their breath.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I mean, it wasn't bad before, but now it's like a whole new game with the
Right.
results.
Oh,
It's
absolutely.
unbelievable.
I totally agree.
How on earth this topic came up in you? I mean, because my whole afternoon was about this kind of all the stories were somehow connected to trauma, letting go, and all these kind of topics. And
Synchronicity.
now,
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
why you chose this topic, but thank you
I
very much.
told Kurt that I believe that there is a reason that you contacted me
Right.
today, and just right before we were
Yeah.
about to do a call. So there it is. Synchronicities. I also want to do
Yeah.
a video on that at some point, because we just don't think about it that much. But when you start
Mm,
thinking back with your experience, there were all the synchronicities based on your feelings, or based on your
mm.
the emotional, or what you were thinking about. It's just epic how it works. when you
Yeah.
let it,
Yeah.
when you allow it to happen.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I'm glad that you were brave and just hop on spontaneously. And these are one of the things that spontaneous act, when something comes up, if you can just act on it, that brings out a whole bunch of answers and
Mm.
Yeah.
also new questions, or but it always guides you somewhere that was important for you at that
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for
Thank
connecting. I
you.
love it.
Yep. Thanks.
Have a beautiful day. Thank you.
You too. You
Have
have
a
a nice
beautiful
evening.
night.